Time that we've ever participated in one of these little snapshot venues, but we appreciate the offer and have learned a lot in doing so. I would like to tell you that there are some handouts. They're different colors, but they're all the same thing, and it tells you kind of who's going to be singing and what they're going to be singing. And I would like to tell you who our performers are today. Our first one is Hannah Mosier, Lucas Vasquez, Amelia Mays, wave at us so we know, Hannah Batty, Cora Burrell, Spencer Towery, Joy Connor, Stephanie Troyer, and Karen Krotzer. And I appreciate all their work. They've learned a lot in this process too. Well, today we're going to focus on songs of the Civil War, and since it's dealing with songs, we're going to kind of look at it from a musical angle today. I've tried to include a mixture of different types of songs from the Civil War, but there were so many very different choices that it was very difficult to narrow it down. But you're going to hear Union battle songs, you're going to hear a Confederate battle song, Song of the Slaves, songs that soldiers sang, sentimental songs, songs of specific battles, and then even a post-war song. In 1861, when the Union was falling apart, America's music had not yet broken away from its European roots. Most of the music was still composed of plaintive chant, and you could hear melodies of Scottish and Irish backgrounds, as well as French and German folk song. Few musicians had discovered their own melodic and rhythmic styles. There were a few, if they were travelers, that learned some of the Negro spiritual rhythms and styles and started arranging those melodies into sounds that the world had never heard before. Well, this new music was just a teeny little voice in the American history music world. The national songs that we had had up until that time, come on in, they were from the old country. They were rooted in Europe, but they just had different words for our country here. America was ready to make its own form of expression, and it was the time of the Civil War that started that process. So you could say that the war was a catalyst for our developing our own country style of music. This musical liberation had not happened overnight, and it was not widespread initially. It took time. Many songs continued to be rooted in European background and heritage. But I will say that no other war in our history produced as many songs with such a great variety. In the early hours of April 12, 1861, a shot was fired over Fort Sumter in Charleston Harbor in South Carolina by Captain George James of the Confederate Army. A short time later, the Union troops surrendered. This firing over Fort Sumter, it did stun the nation, and it woke us up to the fact that Civil War was not going to be easy. It was going to be bloody and very tragic. But at the same time, civilians and soldiers both were inspired and propagandized by a host of patriotic songs. A stream of compositions poured forth from professionals and from amateurs alike. It didn't matter. Many of them sat on shelves and collected dust in publishers' offices, but obviously many met the lips of all the American people and were singing them across the country. We could say that the hit parade of 1861 through 65 included songs like The Battle Cry of Freedom, John Brown's Body, The Battle Hymn of the Republic, and Marching Through Georgia. Union songs of inspiration reflected the way in which Northern unity developed, with the early songs serving as purpose and statements of valor. The Confederacy songs were written early in the war, and the themes were around the glory of the South. They saluted their new nation's flag, and they identified themselves with revolutionary movements. So their songs were the Bonnie Blue Flag, Dixie, the Southern Marseillaise, based on the French Marseillaise. So we have all kinds of different examples, and we're going to start today by hearing our Barton students with Hannah Mosier.
In the spring of 1961, the tension between the North and South grew too strong, and the first shots of the Civil War were fired. The tensions were created from the Union's anti-slavery attitude and the Confederacy's pro-slavery attitude, which was heightened when Abraham Lincoln proposed to abolish slavery. Some other reasons for the tension between the North and South came from the argument over the states and the federal government's authority, along with the expansion of the United States. The Bonnie Blue Flag, was a marching song for the Confederacy during the Civil War. The words were written by Harry McCarthy, and the tune was taken from the Irish jaunting car. The Bonnie Blue Flag itself was the official flag of the Republic of West Florida. This became the unofficial flag for the Confederate States of America after Mississippi seceded from the Union in 1861, and the blue flag, bearing a single white star, was flown on the Capitol dome. When New Orleans was captured, the publisher of the song was arrested and fined, and the copies of the music were destroyed, and anyone whistling or singing the tune was fined as well.
For the
So we will skip the Rowley song and move on to Lucas.
The relation between the song, Go Down Moses, or in the book of Exodus, the king Pharaoh held the captive Israelites in Egypt. The Lord spoke to Moses to go upon Pharaoh and say to him, "Let my people go." The Civil War is the history of slavery, and the Go Down Moses is referring to the Africans going down to the Mississippi River. The Let My People Go is meant to freedom for the slaves. There was only hope in both cases that there were people to be set free. Go down, Moses.
rights where the song had to be a certain length to fit on the record and be sold. And they were used to writing, so there are many, many verses to tell how they felt and what occurred. And that we found that with most of them. Okay, Amelia.
Just Before the Battle Mother was written by George F. Root, who also composed The Battle Cry of Freedom and Tramp, Tramp, Tramp. All of these songs were written in a march style so that the soldiers could march from place to place while they sang. Just Before the Battle Mother was the most widely sang song of the war, in which Root takes the opportunity to write about the Northern Copperheads by saying, "Tell the traitors all around you that their cruel words we know. In every battle kill our soldiers by the help they give the foe." However, this song didn't just stay in the United States. It eventually made its way to England, where it became so popular that the English didn't believe it was written by a foreigner. And then, after a time, the melody became a children's street literature. Even though not many know this song today, in the Civil War it reached out and touched the hearts of every man and the nation. All upon the fields were 1st, 1862, the United States government began the cessation of alcohol in the United States Navy. This alcohol was commonly referred to as grog, a mixture of rum and water. It is thought to have been named after Vice Admiral Edward Vernon, who wore a grogman's coat and was nicknamed Old Grog. George Washington's house is also named after him. While hearing of the government's outlaw, the soldiers were dismayed, to say the least. Therefore, Caspar Schenck of the United States Navy wrote Farewell to Grog to the tune of the old famous English drinking song, Come Landlord, Fill the Flowing Bowl. The song was composed and sung by the Navy soldiers the day before their grog was taken away, August 31st, 1862.
Come, messmates, pass the bottle round. Our time is short, remember, for our grog must stop our spirits drop on the first day of September. For tonight we'll merry, merry be. For tonight we'll merry, merry be. For tonight we'll merry, merry be. Tomorrow we'll be sober. Farewell, old right is a sad, sad word, but alas it must be spoken. All the ruby cup must be given up, and the demijohn be broken. For tonight we'll merry, merry be. For tonight we'll merry, merry be. For tonight we'll merry, merry be. Tomorrow we'll be sober. Jack's happy days will soon be gone, to return again or never. For they raised his pay 5 cents a day, but stopped his grog forever. For tonight we'll merry, merry be. For tonight we'll merry, merry be. For tonight we'll merry, merry be. Tomorrow we'll be sober. Yet memory oft will backward turn, and dwell with fondness partial on the days when gin was not a sin, nor cocktails brought court-martial. For today we'll merry, merry be. For tonight we'll merry, merry be. For tonight we'll merry, merry be. Tomorrow we'll be sober. All hands to split the main brace call, but split it now in sorrow. For the spare room he will be laid away forever on tomorrow. For tonight we'll merry, merry be. For tonight we'll merry, merry be. For tonight we'll merry, merry be. Tomorrow we'll be sober.
Soldiers during the Civil War would sing songs that best fit their rank or job. Some songs were written just for soldiers, which would make their way into civilian life. A few of these songs would later become popular. These songs were mostly about food, officers, or war zones. Some of the men would sing about the lack of women around. Others would sing about good times and memories of home. The songs have a sense of longing and begging for the good things in life. They narrate stories of horror or trauma the soldiers had to experience. However, singing is always a good way to help keep the mind occupied. It helped them cope in times of need. These songs were brought home and soon became better known and popular. Tinting on the Old Campground was written by Walter Kittredge. In 1863, he was inspired to write this song as a farewell to civilian life, only to find out he couldn't go any further due to having rheumatic fever as a child. With the struggle of finding anyone willing to publish his new song, Kittredge, a former member of one of the Hutchison's family singing groups, took his song to the Hutchisons. The famous singers introduced the song near Lynn, Massachusetts, giving it instant success. Tinting on the Old Campground transcended north-south boundaries and retained popularity after the war. The song was popular for many years after.
We're dancing tonight on the old campground. Give us a song to cheer. Our weary hearts are song of home and friends we love so dear. Many are the hearts that are weary tonight, wishing for the war to cease. Many are the hearts that are looking for the right to see the dawn of peace. Tenting tonight, tenting tonight, tenting on the old campground. We've been tenting tonight on the old campground, thinking of days gone by. Of the loved ones at home that give us the hand, and tears that say goodbye. Many are the hearts that are weary tonight, wishing for the war to cease. Many are the hearts that are looking for the right to see the dawn of peace. Tenting tonight, tenting tonight, tenting on the old campground. We are tired of war on the old campground. Many are dead and gone. Of the brave and the true who've left their homes, others have wounded long. Many are the hearts that are weary tonight, wishing for the war to cease. Many are the hearts that are looking for the right to see the dawn of peace. Tenting tonight, tenting tonight, tenting on the old campground. We've been fighting today on the old campground. Many are lying here. Some are dead and some are dying. Many are in tears. Many are the hearts that are weary tonight, wishing for the war to cease. Many are the hearts that are looking for the right to see the dawn of peace. Dying tonight, dying tonight, dying on the old campground.
One clear starlit night, along the banks of the Potomac River, two enemies laid wage against each other. The loneliness and heartaches and suffering of men at war overflowed into song. On that night, each side, the Confederate and Union, were singing their own songs back and forth until one person began to sing the famous song, Home Sweet Home. With words written by John Howard Payne and the music by Sir Henry Raleigh Bishop, once that one started, they all began to sing along. The song was written as part of the libretto of an opera, Clary, or The Maid of Milan, which was produced in 1823. At the time of the Civil War, it was a very popular song in the United States, especially with the soldiers both Union and Confederate, because it reminded them of home, in which both sides of the conflict, who in a lonely, bloody battle could say, "Be it ever so humble, there's no place like home."
Green is one of the most widely known genuine folk songs of the Civil War. It was passed down through word of mouth, which is a classic characteristic of a folk song. This song's tune is from the English ballad Barbara Allen, but the writer of the words is unknown. It is said to be written by Reverend L.J. Simpson, whose brother died at Fort Donelson, but it is also said to be written by Joseph Green. Over the years, this song has been adapted. It is said that at one time it was changed to make the dying soldier a Confederate soldier.